The galaxy remembers what power looks like. It rarely remembers kindness. Ethan Walker learned that on a cold morning under Station 9. The transit district never really slept. Cargo haulers drifted overhead like steel whales through gray cloud cover. Freight engines vibrated beneath the sidewalks. Neon signs reflected across wet pavement stained by years of oil, rain, and hard living. The air smelled like overheated circuitry and street food cooked by people chasing one more shift before dawn. Ethan pulled his work jacket tighter against the cold and stepped out from Dock Sector C with tired legs and 93 credits left in his account. 93. He knew the number because he had checked it 4 times in the last hour. Rent was due in 3 days. His apartment heater barely worked. His boots leaked when it rained. Life kept asking him for more than he had. A maintenance drone rolled past his shoulder, humming softly. Station 9 announcements echoed overhead in 6 languages. Arrival lane 3. Passenger transfer delayed. Security advisory active. Same noise. Same city. Same struggle. Ethan adjusted the worn backpack hanging from one shoulder and started toward the transit rail. Then he heard it. Not yelling. Not panic. Something quieter. Worse. Embarrassment. Human instinct noticed things machines missed. A small crowd had formed near Platform 12. Most people kept walking. Some slowed down just enough to watch. Nobody stepped closer. Ethan moved toward the station lights spilling across polished steel flooring. 2 transit officers stood near a young alien woman wearing a long pale coat that looked too thin for the weather. Blue skin. Silver markings near her hands. Dark hair pulled back loosely. She looked young. Maybe mid-20s by human standards. She stood perfectly still while one officer held a payment scanner in front of her. Her voice barely carried over the station noise. I told you, my transfer authorization failed. Transit violations require immediate settlement, the officer said flatly. 140 credits. Ethan slowed. 140. Not a fortune. Not for Station 9. But enough to ruin somebody already. Having a bad day. The alien woman reached into her coat pocket again. Empty. She checked another pocket. Nothing. The people watching shifted awkwardly. One man laughed quietly. Somebody recorded on a wrist device. Ethan hated that. People turning struggle into entertainment. The officer spoke again. Payment now or processing delay procedures begin. The alien woman's shoulders lowered slightly. Small movement. Easy to miss. Ethan noticed. Exhaustion. Not anger. Not entitlement. Exhaustion. Like somebody carrying too much for too long. He looked down at his account balance floating faintly above his wrist display. 93 credits. He looked back toward the station exit. Home was 12 blocks away. Rain had started outside. Cold rain. Then he looked at her again. The station lights reflected across blue skin and tired eyes, trying very hard not to show fear. Ethan exhaled slowly. Life kept asking him for more than he had. Somehow he kept answering anyway. He stepped forward. How much did you say the fine was? The transit officer barely looked at Ethan. People like Ethan disappeared into places like Station 9 every day. Cargo workers. Mechanics. Night crews. The invisible engine that kept the galaxy moving. 140 credits, the officer repeated. Ethan glanced down at the dim balance floating above his wrist display again. 93 credits. That was all he had. The cold reality hit immediately. Not enough. The alien woman finally spoke again. I can resolve this later. Transit violations cannot be deferred, the officer answered. System policy. Ethan rubbed his forehead slowly. Station 9 loved policy. Policy charged late fees. Policy locked people out of housing. Policy did not care whether somebody ate dinner. Around him, commuters kept moving. Boots tapped polished flooring. Transit announcements echoed overhead. Steam drifted upward from a food stand 20 feet away where somebody sold hot noodles to exhausted workers ending overnight shifts. The smell made Ethan realize he had not eaten since noon. He checked his wrist display again. 93 credits. Then something unexpected happened. An elderly maintenance worker stepped closer beside him. Human. Gray beard. Orange utility vest stained with grease. Ethan recognized him. Walter. Work Dock Sector B. I got 20, Walter said quietly. Ethan blinked. Walter. Do not make it weird. Another voice spoke behind them. I have 15. Ethan turned. A woman from freight loading. Human. Late 50s. Name tag read Marisol. She looks like she needs help, Marisol said simply. A younger dock worker stepped forward. 10. Another voice. 8. Somebody from cargo inspections added 12 more. The crowd shifted. Something changed. Small at first, almost invisible, then suddenly real. The station that had looked away 30 seconds earlier slowly moved closer. People opened wrist displays. Credits transferred. Quietly. No speeches. No cameras now. Just ordinary people choosing not to walk away. Ethan watched the total climb. 93. 113. 128. 143. Complete. Silence settled for half a second. The transit officer checked his scanner. Violation resolved. Simple words. Cold words. Procedure complete. The officer handed the alien woman a small transit confirmation card. You are cleared. Then they walked away. Just like that. The crowd scattered too. Freight schedules mattered. Life moved forward. Walter adjusted his vest. You still owe me coffee. Ethan managed a tired smile. I know. Good. Walter walked away. Marisol nodded once before disappearing toward platform 8. Gone. Like it never happened. Except it had. Ethan turned toward the alien woman. Up close, she looked even more exhausted. Tiny silver markings curved near her wrists beneath her coat sleeves. Not decorative. Something cultural, maybe. Her eyes moved toward him carefully, studying him, measuring him. Why? She asked quietly. Ethan shrugged. People helped me before. You do not know me. No. You do not know what I am. Does it matter? The station lights reflected softly across blue skin that suddenly looked less distant. Less alien. For a moment she said nothing. Transit engines hummed overhead. Rain tapped the massive glass ceiling above platform 12. Somewhere far beyond station 9, cargo ships crossed stars Ethan would never see. Most people look away, she said finally. Ethan nodded slowly. I know. Her hand tightened slightly around the transit card. My name is Lyra. Ethan noticed it then. Not fear. Not relief. Something stranger. Like somebody carrying a secret heavy enough to bend gravity itself. Then her eyes moved suddenly toward the station entrance. Everything about her changed. Not panic. Recognition. Cold recognition. Ethan turned slightly. 3 figures wearing dark gray diplomatic coats had just entered platform 12. The 3 figures moved through platform 12 without rushing. They did not need to. People moved around them naturally, like water bending around stone. Dark gray coats. Silver trim near the shoulders. No station logos. No transit badges. Something official. Something expensive. Ethan noticed details because years working cargo taught him to notice details. Uniform boots without scratches. Perfect posture. Calm eyes scanning exits. Not security. Not police. Different. Lyra stepped backward once. Small movement. Almost invisible. Ethan noticed that too. Friends of yours? He asked quietly. No, Lyra said immediately. Too fast. Her voice stayed calm. Her eyes did not. One of the gray-coated figures stopped near a transit display terminal. Taller than the others. Alien. Pale bronze skin. Sharp features. Older. His hand moved toward a small device near his wrist. Ethan felt something strange settle into the air. Pressure. Like standing outside before a thunderstorm arrives. The station noise kept moving. Freight announcements. Transit arrivals. Rolling cargo carts. Life continued. But Lyra stood perfectly still. You should go, she said quietly. Ethan blinked once. What? Go home. Lyra. Please. Her hand tightened around the transit clearance card. Hard enough to bend the edge slightly. Ethan studied her face carefully. Exhaustion. Fear. Something else too. Guilt. Like she hated dragging anyone else into whatever followed her. Those people looking for you? Ethan asked. It does not matter. Looks like it matters. The older figure in gray turned slightly. Ethan felt it immediately. They had been spotted. Lyra noticed too. Her shoulders lowered half an inch. Not surrender. Acceptance. The kind people carried when running became exhausting. Lyra, Ethan said quietly. Talk to me. I cannot. Can they hurt you? No. Quick answer. Honest answer maybe. Then what? Lyra stared toward the station windows. Rain slid slowly down reinforced glass, 3 stories high. Cold silver streaks reflecting neon signs across platform 12. Sometimes people can destroy things without touching them, she said softly. Ethan frowned slightly. Cargo work taught practical problems. Broken engines. Late shipments. Rent due. This felt bigger. Stranger. The gray-coated figures started moving again. Directly toward them now. You should leave, Lyra said again. Not happening. Human stubbornness is real then. Ethan almost smiled. Almost. You have no idea. One of the figures raised a hand slightly. Not threatening. Requesting attention. Professional. Controlled. The older bronze-skinned alien stopped 6 feet away. Up close, his coat carried a symbol Ethan did not recognize. 3 silver stars inside a circle. Elegant. Official. Important. The older alien looked directly at Lyra first. Relief flickered across his expression so quickly Ethan nearly missed it. Relief. Then concern. Then something colder. Professional distance. Miss Vaylor, the older figure said quietly. We have been searching for you. Ethan felt Lyra freeze beside him. Vaylor. Name sounded familiar somehow. Like hearing part of a song you almost remembered. You disabled your locator signal. The older alien continued calmly. Your father is concerned. Ethan turned slowly toward Lyra. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically. Emotionally. Like carrying something heavy finally became impossible. Lyra, Ethan said quietly. Who exactly are you? For the first time since Platform 12, she looked uncertain. Truly uncertain. Rain struck glass overhead. Freight engines vibrated beneath the station floor. Somewhere beyond Station 9, ships crossed endless darkness between stars. Lyra finally looked up at him. Someone who needed help, she said softly. Then the older alien reached slowly into his coat and removed a silver communication device, glowing faint blue around its edge. Miss Vaylor, he said carefully. Your father requests immediate contact. The ambassador has not slept since you disappeared. The words settled heavier than station gravity. Ambassador. Ethan had heard the title before. Everybody had. Diplomats from major systems controlled trade routes worth more than entire colonies. People with influence did not ride public transit alone. They definitely did not stand under cold station lights, unable to pay fines. Ethan looked toward Lyra again. Really looked. The silver markings near her wrists. The coat that looked simple until you noticed the stitching. The way official people reacted around her without speaking. Small details. Expensive details. Important details. Lyra lowered her eyes first. You should not have come here, she said quietly toward the older alien. Miss Vaylor. The older figure answered carefully. You left without clearance. Your father feared something had happened. Nothing happened. Your communication systems remained offline for 9 hours. 9 hours. Ethan blinked slowly. 9 hours searching an entire station network for one person. Rich people problems, he almost thought. Then he looked at Lyra again. No, not rich people problems. Lonely people problems. Different thing entirely. The older alien extended the glowing device toward her. Please. Lyra stared at it for a long moment. Freight engines rolled somewhere beneath Platform 12. Rain slid down reinforced glass overhead. A maintenance drone drifted past carrying replacement transit panels. Ordinary station life moved around extraordinary moments without noticing. Finally, Lyra accepted the communicator. Blue light reflected softly across her face. A holographic image appeared instantly. Male. Older. Blue skin darker than Lyra's. Silver hair near the temples. Sharp eyes carrying the kind of exhaustion money could not fix. Relief hit his expression immediately. Real relief. Human relief. Parent relief. Lyra. One word. Heavy enough to fill the entire station. Lyra looked away slightly. I am fine. You disappeared. I needed air. You left. Protected diplomatic housing. I know. You disabled every locator system assigned to you. Ethan quietly stepped backward. This felt private. Family business. But Lyra suddenly spoke again. I wanted one day. Silence answered from the hologram. One day? Not luxury. Not escape. One day? One day without guards watching every step. Lyra continued quietly. One day without every conversation becoming politics. The older male said nothing. Platform 12 kept breathing around them. Trains arriving. Cargo moving. Cold station air carrying engine heat and rain through ventilation currents overhead. Ethan suddenly remembered something Walter once told him. Everybody carries weight. Rich people just buy better bags. You scared us. The older male finally said softly. Us. Not staff. Not security. Family. Lyra swallowed once. Small movement. Human movement. Universal movement. I know. Ethan stared quietly toward the floor. 93 credits. He almost laughed. He had worried about 93 credits while standing next to somebody trying to escape an entire life. Strange galaxy. Strange morning. The hologram male shifted slightly. His eyes moved toward Ethan. Just for a second. Sharp eyes. Intelligent eyes. Who is that human? Ethan immediately wished he had walked away sooner. Lyra looked toward him slowly. Station lights reflected softly across tired blue eyes. Someone kind, she said quietly. Not cargo worker. Not stranger. Not poor human. Someone kind. The hologram male studied Ethan silently for 3 long seconds. Then something unexpected happened. His expression changed. Not political. Not diplomatic. Personal. Deeply personal. Young man, the older male said calmly. I believe we owe you gratitude. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. No, sir. Really, you do not. The older male looked at him carefully. Human kindness often says that. Then the connection ended. Just like that. Blue light vanished. Rain continued outside. Freight engines kept humming beneath the station floor. Lyra stood quietly beside him for several seconds before speaking again. My father is going to send half the station looking for me now. Ethan looked toward her. Your father seems worried. Lyra gave a small tired smile. First real smile. Small enough most people would miss it. Ethan noticed. Station 9 slowly returned to normal after extraordinary moments passed through it. That was the strange thing about crowded places. Someone could carry the weight of an entire world beside you, and 5 minutes later people were back to checking schedules and complaining about delayed trains. Lyra handed the communication device back to the older diplomat. I will return soon, she said quietly. The older alien studied her for a moment. Concern remained behind professional calm. Miss Vaylor, your father requested transport immediately. I know. He rarely requests twice. Something almost amused crossed Lyra's face. That sounds like him. The older diplomat glanced toward Ethan one more time. Human. Ethan straightened slightly. Sir. Thank you. Simple words. Serious words. Then the 3 officials stepped back without pressure. Without demands. They moved toward the far side of Platform 12 and waited near a private transit corridor, glowing soft white beneath station lights. Lyra remained beside Ethan. Cold ventilation drifted overhead, carrying traces of rain and engine heat through the station. Freight drones crossed distant ceiling lanes like silent stars moving across artificial sky panels. Ethan finally exhaled slowly. So, Lyra folded her hands inside her coat pockets. So, ambassador's daughter. Yes. Diplomatic housing. Yes. Half the station searching for you. Possibly more than half. Ethan laughed quietly despite himself. You left that part out. You did not ask. Fair point. Lyra looked toward the station windows again. Gray weather pressed softly against reinforced glass, 3 stories tall. Beyond Station 9 sat endless shipping lanes and distant colony routes stretching farther than Ethan would ever travel. Do you know the strange thing about important families? Lyra asked quietly. No. People stop seeing you. Ethan frowned slightly. Pretty sure people notice you. No. Her voice softened. They notice position. Status. Obligation. She looked toward him directly now. Not. People. Ethan understood more than he expected. Cargo work taught invisible lessons. Rich people ignored workers. Busy people ignored cleaners. Station executives forgot names 3 seconds after introductions. Different lives. Same loneliness. You paid attention, Lyra said quietly. Most people would not. Ethan adjusted the worn strap hanging over his shoulder. I just saw somebody having a rough day. No. Her silver-marked hands tightened inside her coat pockets. You saw me. Station announcements echoed overhead. Final boarding call. Cargo transfer route adjustment. Temperature warning advisory. Life continuing. Always continuing. Ethan checked the old analog watch strapped beside his wrist display. Habit from his father. Real hands. Real gears. Something honest in old machinery. I should go, he said quietly. Work again in 6 hours. You work too much. Rent works harder. Something almost looked like guilt crossing Lyra's expression. The credits. Ethan shook his head immediately. No. I can repay you. No. Ethan. No. She stared at him. Confused now. Why? He thought about it seriously. The leaking apartment heater. 93 credits. Empty refrigerator. Long shifts loading freight containers bigger than houses. Everything practical said yes. Take repayment. Move on. Easy decision. But easy decisions were not always right ones. Because somebody helped me once, he said quietly. Long time ago. Lyra said nothing. Rain slid slowly down station glass behind her. You never really pay kindness back, Ethan said softly. You pass it forward. Silence settled gently between them. Not awkward silence. Quiet understanding. Then Lyra reached slowly into her coat pocket and removed something small. Metallic silver. Smooth edges. A transit token. Old design. Not station issue. Take this, she said quietly. Ethan frowned. What is it? Insurance. Insurance against what? For the first time all morning, uncertainty crossed her expression. Small. Brief. Real. Against tomorrow, she said softly. The silver token felt heavier than it should have. Ethan turned it slowly between his fingers beneath the cold station lights. Smooth edges. No. Visible markings except one symbol carved into the center. 3 silver stars inside a circle. The same symbol he had seen on the diplomats' coats. Lyra, he said quietly. I cannot take this. Yes, you can. No. Human stubbornness again. Alien stubbornness too, apparently. Something softer appeared in her expression. Almost amusement. Almost normal. For a moment, she looked less like somebody connected to diplomatic worlds and endless responsibility. More like somebody around his age standing under bad weather trying to figure life out. Keep it, she said quietly. You helped me when you believed I was ordinary. Ethan looked down at the token again. You are ordinary. Lyra blinked once. No, I am not. You missed a train. Several trains. You forgot credits. Yes. You disappeared from your family and worried people who cared about you. Silence. Sounds ordinary enough. The station lights reflected softly across blue skin and silver markings near her wrists. Ethan noticed something then. She looked tired. Not physically. Deep tired. The kind people carried when they spent too much time becoming what everyone needed and not enough time becoming themselves. One of the diplomats stepped forward carefully. Not interrupting. Waiting. Professional patience. Miss Vaylor, he said quietly. Departure transport is prepared. Lyra nodded once. Small movement. Heavy movement. Ethan understood that too. Some doors closed quietly. Quiet hurt more sometimes. I should go, she said softly. Ethan nodded. Probably. Neither moved. Freight engines hummed beneath platform 12. Rain kept sliding slowly down reinforced station glass. The giant transit clock overhead shifted forward another minute. Time never asked permission before leaving. Do you know something strange? Lyra asked quietly. Probably not. My father says diplomacy is about understanding people different from yourself. Sounds smart. I always thought it meant leaders. Governments. Systems. She looked toward him now. Directly. I think maybe it starts smaller. Ethan leaned against the cool metal support column beside him. Smaller how? One person deciding another person matters. Silence settled gently between them again. Human silence. Honest silence. Somewhere overhead a cargo shuttle launched from upper docking lanes. The deep vibration rolled through platform 12 like distant thunder. You should really keep the token, Lyra said quietly. Insurance against tomorrow. Ethan finally slid it carefully into his jacket pocket. Mostly because arguing felt pointless now. Fine. Good. I still do not know what it does. Hopefully nothing. That sounds concerning. A little. The first real laugh escaped him before he realized it. Small. Tired. Real. Lyra smiled again. Not diplomatic. Not practiced. Real too. Then station lights changed near the private transit corridor. White shifted toward soft blue. Transport arrival signal. Time. The diplomats moved carefully toward departure access lanes. Lyra took one step backward. Then another. Goodbye, Ethan Walker. Goodbye, Lyra Vaylor. She stopped. You remembered. Cargo workers remembered details. Good. Then she turned and walked toward the corridor lights. Gray coats surrounded her carefully. Not control. Protection. Ethan stood still long after she disappeared beyond station access doors. Rain kept falling outside. Freight kept moving. Life kept happening. Eventually, he started walking home. 12 blocks, through cold weather. Leaking boots. 93 credits gone forever. Strange morning. Strange galaxy. He reached his apartment building just before sunrise, painted pale silver across lower city towers. Old heating pipes rattled inside the hallway walls. His tiny apartment smelled faintly like cold metal and old coffee. Same place. Same life. Ethan dropped his backpack beside the door. Something metallic slipped free from his jacket pocket and landed softly against the floor. The silver token. Except now it looked different. Faint blue light pulsed quietly beneath the carved symbol at its center. Blue light pulsed softly across Ethan's apartment floor like a quiet heartbeat. Once every 3 seconds. Slow. Steady. Controlled. Ethan crouched beside it carefully. His apartment remained exactly the same. Old heater rattling inside the wall. Small kitchen sink dripping once every 30 seconds. One chair beside a narrow table, near the window, overlooking lower city freight lanes. Same life. Same place. Yet somehow everything felt different now. He picked the silver token up slowly. Warmer than before. Not hot. Just alive somehow. The carved symbol at the center glowed faintly beneath his fingers. 3 silver stars inside a circle. Ethan walked toward the window. Outside, lower city towers stretched across the horizon beneath pale, early morning light. Cargo ships drifted through cloud cover. Traffic lanes glowed orange between buildings. Another day beginning. Another shift waiting. Another 12 hours moving containers bigger than houses, while station executives forgot workers existed. Normal life. He should sleep. Instead, he sat beside the small kitchen table staring at the token for almost 10 minutes. Finally, curiosity won. Fine, he muttered quietly. Insurance against tomorrow. He placed the token carefully onto the table's surface. Blue light expanded immediately. Not bright. Controlled. Deliberate. A thin line of silver text appeared above it, floating inches in the air. Recognition authorized. Ethan leaned back hard enough to nearly knock his chair over. Nope. More text appeared. Valor Diplomatic Registry access granted. Emergency courtesy designation active. Ethan stared at the floating words. Emergency courtesy designation. Registry access. Diplomatic. His tiny apartment suddenly felt much smaller. Another line appeared beneath the first. Authorized by Lyra Valor. Ethan rubbed both hands across his face slowly. Lyra, he said quietly toward the empty room. What exactly did you give me? The heater rattled behind him. No answer. The floating text shifted again. Then something appeared beneath it. Coordinates. Station 9. Arrival Sector Alpha. Timestamp. 6:21 morning. 34 minutes away. Ethan frowned. Why would a diplomatic token show arrival coordinates? He tapped the edge carefully. More information expanded instantly. Diplomatic arrival protocol active. Ambassadorial transport approaching. Public reception authorized. Ethan blinked slowly. Public reception. Ambassadorial transport. Station 9. Today. His stomach dropped slightly. No. No chance. Impossible. Right. He leaned back into the old chair slowly. Cargo workers did not belong near diplomatic arrivals. Cargo workers belonged moving freight containers while important people walked past without noticing names. He looked down toward his wrist display. Shift beginning in 2 hours. Rent due soon. Refrigerator almost empty. Normal life. Safe life. Yet something stayed with him. Lyra standing under station lights, saying people stopped seeing people. Lyra disappearing through diplomatic corridors, looking somehow smaller than before. Lyra handing him insurance against tomorrow. Ethan stood slowly. No, he told himself quietly. Bad idea. 5 seconds later, he grabbed his jacket. Rain still fell lightly outside. Cold air hit immediately when he stepped onto lower city sidewalks. Freight traffic moved overhead. Early workers filled transit lanes carrying coffee and unfinished dreams toward jobs that barely noticed them. Same city. Same morning. Ethan boarded transit line 3 toward station 9 anyway. 40 minutes later, lower docking towers appeared beyond reinforced transit glass. Large. Gray. Familiar. Except today something felt different. Even before arrival. More security vehicles near outer transit lanes. More station personnel moving quickly across loading platforms. More official transports waiting near arrival sector Alpha. Ethan stepped off the train into cold station air carrying engine heat and rain through massive ventilation systems overhead. Then he stopped moving completely. Because parked outside arrival sector Alpha sat 6 diplomatic transports carrying one silver symbol he recognized immediately. 3 stars inside a circle. Station 9 looked different when important people arrived. Cleaner somehow. Straighter. Workers adjusted uniforms. Transit officers stood taller. Service drones moved with polished precision instead of ordinary station efficiency. Ethan noticed details because details paid rent. Details kept cargo workers employed. Details told stories before people did. Arrival sector Alpha stretched wide beneath massive reinforced glass panels nearly 200 feet. Overhead, gray clouds drifted beyond them. Freight traffic moved farther away today. Redirected. Controlled. The 6 diplomatic transports sat perfectly still beneath bright platform lights. Silver metal. Smooth lines. No visible damage. No wasted design. Wealth built things differently. Ethan stayed near the edge of the crowd gathering behind station barriers. Workers. Travelers. Station staff. Curious people checking feeds on wrist displays. Whispering quietly. Waiting. Nobody knew exactly why one of the largest diplomatic delegations in months had arrived without public announcement. Ethan knew, or thought he knew. The silver token sat inside his jacket pocket. Warm again. Almost aware somehow. A station announcement echoed overhead. Arrival Sector Alpha temporarily restricted. Please maintain designated access boundaries. Nobody moved. Human curiosity ignored announcements universally across galaxies apparently. Walter appeared beside him holding coffee. Knew I would find you here. Ethan nearly jumped. Walter, you owe me coffee. You always say that. Walter handed him a cup anyway. Cheap station coffee. Too hot. Slightly bitter. Perfect. What is this about? Walter asked quietly. Ethan stared toward the diplomatic transports. Not sure. Liar. Ethan said nothing. Walter narrowed his eyes slightly. This connected to yesterday? Maybe. Human. Ethan took a slow drink instead. Heat settled into cold hands. Around them station workers whispered. Diplomatic symbols. Ambassadorial arrival patterns. Political rumors. Trade agreements. Important people business. The giant reinforced doors near Sector Alpha slowly opened. Silence moved through the crowd almost instantly. Diplomatic staff stepped forward first. Gray coats. Silver trim. Perfect posture. Ethan recognized the older bronze-skinned official immediately. The same one from Platform 12. Then more figures appeared behind them. Advisors. Security personnel. Administrative staff. Structured movement. Controlled movement. Important worlds traveled with layers around them. Ethan felt strangely out of place suddenly. Leaking boots. Worn jacket. Cargo worker hands carrying years of freight scars. And cold weather cracks. Wrong place. Wrong people. He should leave. Then movement near the center transport changed everything. Lyra stepped forward. Blue skin beneath pale silver diplomatic clothing that somehow looked simple and impossible to afford at the same time. Silver markings near her wrists visible now. No hiding. No pretending. The crowd quieted further. Ethan watched carefully. Something felt different. Yesterday, she looked tired. Lost. Heavy somehow. Today, responsibility returned to her shoulders like armor. Beautiful armor. Heavy armor. Then another figure stepped down from the central transport. Older. Blue skin darker than Lyra's. Silver near the temples. Sharp, intelligent eyes Ethan recognized instantly from holographic light floating above a kitchen table hours earlier. The ambassador. People around him shifted immediately. Respect moved differently than power. Ethan noticed that too. Lyra stood beside her father quietly. Diplomatic officials positioned carefully. Formal. Structured. Professional. Then something unexpected happened. Lyra looked toward the crowd. Searching. Not casually. Specifically. Ethan felt his stomach tighten slightly. No chance. Too many people here. Hundreds. Then her eyes found him immediately. Across distance. Across station noise. Across everything. The ambassador followed her line of sight slowly. Ethan suddenly wished very deeply he had gone to work instead. Walter quietly leaned closer beside him. Friend of yours? Ethan stared ahead. Not exactly. The ambassador said something quietly to Lyra. She answered. Brief conversation. Then both started walking directly toward the public barrier, where Ethan stood waiting beside cold station coffee and leaking boots. The distance felt longer than it was. Maybe 30 feet. Maybe 40. Enough time for Ethan Walker to realize every choice in life looked small until consequences arrived wearing polished shoes and diplomatic colors. Station 9 had gone strangely quiet. Cargo workers stopped talking. Transit officers stood still. Even the ordinary station noise felt farther away somehow. Walter slowly lowered his coffee cup beside him. Ethan, he said quietly. What exactly happened yesterday? Ethan kept watching Lyra walk toward him beside her father. I paid a transit fine. Walter stared at him. That is it. That is it. Human. Ethan did not answer. Lyra moved differently today. Not because she changed. Because she was no longer hiding weight she carried. Responsibility sat beside kindness now instead of covering it. The ambassador walked beside her with calm precision. Not rushed. Not performative. Important people usually moved like time belonged to them. Ethan noticed details. He always noticed details. The silver stars on diplomatic jackets. The station workers quietly stepping aside. The way security teams followed without feeling controlling. Then they stopped directly in front of the barrier. Close enough now. Ethan straightened instinctively. Cargo worker habit. Respect authority. Stay professional. Do not create problems. Lyra looked at him first. Hello, Ethan Walker. Same voice. Same person. Different world around her. Hi, Lyra. Something warm crossed her expression. Relief, maybe. The ambassador stepped forward slowly. Blue skin darker than hers. Sharp, intelligent eyes carrying exhaustion Ethan recognized now. Parent exhaustion. Worry exhaustion. Love exhaustion. Human Ethan Walker, the ambassador said calmly. My name is Ambassador Kalen Vaylor. Ethan nodded awkwardly. Sir, yesterday my daughter disappeared from secured diplomatic housing. Station 9 remained silent around them. Hundreds watching now. Ethan suddenly wanted very badly to disappear into cargo loading lanes and never return. Yesterday, the ambassador continued quietly. She wished to spend one day being ordinary. Lyra lowered her eyes slightly. Yesterday she encountered difficulty. Ethan rubbed his neck awkwardly. Sir, honestly, it was not a big deal. No. The ambassador studied him carefully. My daughter tells me strangers watched. Ethan said nothing. My daughter tells me others recorded. Silence. My daughter tells me a cargo worker with 93 credits chose kindness anyway. Ethan froze. Lyra looked suspiciously interested in the floor suddenly. Sir, Ethan said quietly. You do not have to do this. Human. Ethan Walker. The ambassador stepped closer. My people negotiate trade across 17 systems. Quiet. We shape agreements worth billions. Quiet. We discuss peace. Quiet. Power. Quiet. Influence. The station lights reflected softly across polished transit flooring beneath them. Gray clouds drifted slowly beyond reinforced glass high overhead. Morning light touched lower station towers silver and pale gold. First light. New day. New moment. The ambassador spoke one final time. Quiet enough people leaned closer. Yesterday my daughter needed kindness. Then before Station 9. Before transit workers. Before cargo crews and station officers and strangers carrying unfinished coffee toward ordinary jobs. Ambassador Kalen Vaylor lowered himself carefully to one knee. Silence hit harder than sound. Ethan stopped breathing completely for half a second. Walter nearly dropped his coffee. Lyra stood quietly beside her father with bright eyes reflecting station light and something deeper than gratitude. The ambassador lowered his head once. Respect. Not politics. Not performance. Respect. On behalf of my family, he said quietly. Thank you for seeing a person when others saw inconvenience. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Freight engines hummed somewhere far beneath Station 9. Cargo ships crossed distant skies above cloud cover. Life continued. But something changed. Ethan felt it. People remembered power. They always would. But sometimes, if the galaxy got lucky, people remembered kindness too.